Hello everybody, Terry Carl Joyidian here with Law 36. You are a reflection of your community. This was a tough one for me. There's a lot in here, a lot for me to think about, a lot maybe for you to think about. Let me know. In the summary, Dave Asprey of Game Changers says, create a safety net of people who will be there for you before you need them. Powerful stuff. A little tough for me as someone who likes to be independent, likes to think of myself as independent, that I can do things on my own. I do often find, as we all do, that we do need support from each other, and I'm very grateful when I get that support. But it's an interesting reminder for me, this chapter. Dave Asprey says, happiness is contagious. In a longitudinal study of 5,000 people, it showed that happy people cluster together, and the relationship between happiness extends to 3 degrees of separation. Friends of one's friends' friends. So happiness spreads. Happy people are more successful, as Dave says he's mentioned in previous laws. They have more and better relationships. They're more social. They have stronger romantic and social relationships. And part of a community creates a sense of safety, which is calming for the primitive brain. Again, this is all very interesting for me. I'm an ENFP, or maybe an INFP, or maybe I'm a couple different things, but those are the main ones that come up, and it's either I'm an introvert or I'm an extrovert that leans towards an introvert. And again, this belief that being more social will make you more happy, sometimes yes, sometimes it could be the last thing I need. So this is just really giving me a lot to think about. Tony Robbins, because Dave Asprey always interviews experts, Tony Robbins is one of them for this law, says to stand on the shoulders of others, but only you know what's going to fulfill you. And he says this is the art of fulfillment. We want to learn from those who came before us. We want to add to ourselves from the greatness that the others have already discovered, but what's fulfilling for that person or anybody is not going to be the same for each of us. We all have our own role to play that we know that we need to get in touch with. Tony says success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. He says he's had many people who've had what many would see as great success, whether it's in the movie industry, sports, business, wherever. They have these great accomplishments and they're still unhappy and they can't figure out why. It's because they didn't engage with that art of fulfillment. They did not figure out what they personally wanted to give. You find your fulfillment by looking outside yourself. What? No, what this means is you focus on things beyond your ego, beyond your self-identity. And I found this at some of the times when I'm really upset, I realized I was focusing in on my own self and not looking at myself as part of the whole, as part of everything that's going on. And once I was either able to experience that oneness again or simply distract myself with something else, or maybe it was through service, but I was able to reconnect with that whole and re-engage with my natural joy, that natural happiness. So look at the big picture, make the world better. And Tony Robbins says to think 10 times as big. Think about how much you can do, how much you can give. Go as big as you can. Which one is next? This one. The bigger you go, the more impact you can make. See how big you can go. Focus on making a difference in a way you truly care about that is bigger than yourself. And then Asprey brings in Peter Diamandis, who says you can ask yourself these questions. You can focus on these points to help you look at what you want to give, at what's going to bring you fulfillment. He says, think about the group you most want to be a hero to. We all love superhero movies, right? Who do you want to inspire? And then what do they need? What does that group need that you are a hero to? That's your purpose. And then, after you've identified your group, what they need, your purpose, then what is your moonshot? What is your big, bold idea going to make that world-changing difference. Love that. Finally, another expert that Asprey brings in is JP Sears, life coach and comedian. And he says when you're thinking about community, to create a community of like-hearted people, not like-minded people. They need to have the same heart as you, but think differently because they will help you to grow. I thought that was pretty neat. Neat way of explaining that. Seek to understand from an opposing, different point of view. In any community, in any interaction, your goal is not to change someone's mind. Your goal is to land in the space in between, which is where understanding and tolerance lie. We can even be tolerant of our own inner conflict instead of being conflicted about our conflict. On and on and on. Accepting conflict leads to peace. This is really neat. I've been getting this message a lot lately about dualism, the law of duality. A lot of times we think we need to really focus on being positive, which is great. But a recent Akashic record reading I got was saying, because I asked, how can I be more, I think I said, how can I be more positive? How can I be more balanced? And it said that I could be more balanced by accepting both sides, by accepting positivity and negativity. Because it's very natural that there's going to be a seesaw, that there's always going to be a flow between two different sides. And really we're judging it as positive or negative, right? So if we're just focused on one side, eventually that other side is going to come into balance. So it's more about acceptance, centeredness with all of it, accepting all of it, going with the flow of all of it. They say you'll save a lot of energy when you stop fighting your inner conflict and embrace the full range of your thoughts, see, there you go, and feelings without judgment. Accept it all. Doesn't mean you shouldn't take action on things. It just means overall to release judgment, to find acceptance, etc. It is natural for us to seek the familiar and fight anything that challenges us. That is from our basic instincts to stay safe. But we can move beyond that. We can evolve. And finally, before we go into the action steps at the end of the section, a necessary ingredient for a great life is the willingness to scare yourself to death in order to live and not just survive. So now we're back into change. Again, I'm going to read this again. The necessary ingredient for a great life is the willingness to scare yourself to death in order to live and not just survive. Really powerful stuff. In dream interpretation, in the dream world, we see everything as symbolic, and we see death as a death of an old way of thinking, of being, and an emergence into something new, like the phoenix. So scare yourself to death, scare yourself out of the old stuff by challenging yourself with something new. I really love that. Don't put yourself on autopilot, repeating the same patterns. Embrace the mystery and the unknown. Connect with people who challenge you to grow in unexpected and uncomfortable ways. Yay! And ask yourself whether your community consists of people who bring out the best in you or who drag you down. Who do you have in your community? I think it's Jim Rohn who says you are a sum of the 5 people around you. So think about that. Who are the 5 people that are surrounding you? Who is your circle? What are they doing for you? What are you doing for them? Don't be afraid to change things up in your community and your life in general. The people around you play a big role in setting your limits or encouraging you to exceed them. Setting the limits or helping you exceed the limits. Pretty cool. Just a lot of really powerful, really helpful stuff. You could just take one nugget from this law and change your life. It's so compact. So here are the 3 action steps. It's a repeat of what I already went over, but here they are again. 1, set goals to impact the world in a way that's 10 times greater than you are now. Those moonshot goals is what they call them. 2, ask yourself, who do I want to be a hero to? What do they need? And then what's the moonshot? And finally, actively seek out people who challenge you to think differently and bigger, and then spend more time with them. Really neat. I've been throwing around the idea of a mastermind again. Feeling like it's time to manifest that. What about you? What nugget can you take out of this really impactful video? So much in here, and I've already gone, it looks like, over 10 minutes. So I'm gonna wrap this up. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. If you haven't already, please subscribe. I'm putting out new videos all the time. There's a huge playlist now. We're almost done with Game Changers by Dave Asprey, but there are more laws to come. So please make sure you catch those to take a look back at the previous laws. And we'll see you again for the next one. Much love and many blessings to you all. Bye now.